Well, we can forget about that mother subplot. It's time to defeat Dad again. It's a literal Big Daddy.
We're gonna laser Tokyo, aren't we?
Not if we can help it. So, off screen, I upgraded everything. So all of our weapons are now at max.
So we're a killing machine.
Yeah, we're gonna go with a nice manly costume to finish things off. The cherry blossom.
A lot of pink going on there.
Yep. I will be showing off all the costumes that we didn't see yet in the extras video, which is right after this. We're going to go with the Shinobi emblem this time.
Very traditional.
You know, he may like to explore with his costumes, but deep down, when it comes to his bandanas, he has a little bit of the old school in him. So, the true ninja blade has now replaced the Oni Slayer blade in our inventory. And as I mentioned before, I've upgraded everything off screen, so we're now at max. Which is actually a lie, because you can upgrade these weapons further, but they have certain conditions you need to fulfill first. And those are things that are pretty ridiculous, and they're not requirements I'm going to be fulfilling in this LP. Because most of them have things like get all A+ ranks on every mission in hard difficulty, and things like that. There is one exception, of course, and that is getting all of the Shinobi emojis.
I have seen enough hentai to know where this is going.
Does this count as underground hentai?
We're bringing it up from the underground.
In a gigantic twist, they destroy every building except the Tokyo Tower.
Finally, it's spared.
And yet somehow they managed to destroy Empire State. Despite being thousands of miles away.
I think our undulating monster is double parked.
Many, many times over. Uh-oh.
It's Dadzilla.
Oh, why didn't I think of that? Okay, well, we got another shmup level. It's the last one in the game, and it's probably the least inspired. I'm gonna be fast-forwarding through about half of it. But I'll show you the first half, because it basically it's the same thing repeated twice. You'll notice that this is also a section where they do try to be a little sneakier with their recycled assets. A lot of the area here are basically just destroyed rubble versions of the Tokyo streets that you saw in the first 3 missions.
They just tilt the buildings a little, add some damage, and they're good to go.
Yeah, it becomes a lot more obvious once we actually get on the ground. Oh, hey, look who it is.
Aw, snake monster.
Yeah, I was curious if you could destroy the Skolex worm with just the machine gun fire, but it turns out his health is large enough that it's just impossible. I think I actually got a double KO when I tried it, and it counted as a death. Anyway, the second half is basically the same thing again. You fight through and defeat another Skull-X worm. So I'm going to fast forward through all that. However, it does have one little twist at the end here. Oh no, Dadzilla's back.
Oh no, there goes Tokyo.
So there's a couple of different parts to the set piece. First, you will try to grab onto the. It's not the wing of the helicopter. It's one of the parts here. I'm sure someone will yell at me with the proper terminology in the comments. So now here's the actual proper test. Dadzilla here will start throwing buildings at us, and apparently like 1 or 2 missiles is enough to destroy a building. You know, building and safety regulations in Japan have really gone downhill in alternate 2015. If this is all it takes to destroy them.
Well, when the worms are writing the building code, you know.
Oh, so is that how they managed to get the conspiracy going? In between 2011 and 2015, the hookworms have taken over the building and safety regulations in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, the hookworms ran a successful campaign on cheap housing.
Makes me wonder why they didn't take over New Zealand instead. Anyway, now that's not enough. Apparently, he's gonna grab this entire section of the island and throw it at us instead.
He's gonna throw a whole city block.
I don't think that's happened in a Platinum game yet. So, there you go, guys.
Platinum, if you're listening.
Yep, that's
free idea.
There you go. That's something you can do in Bayonetta 3, if that's still in development by the time this comes out. You're only just figuring this out now? I'm starting to think we may have grossly overestimated Ken's intelligence.
Well, he still dodges like a champ. Oh, we lost another pilot.
He was going to tell us the location of a good bar, but they were all destroyed, so...
Sorry, kid, but I think it's time to play our final ace. But you don't have much time. The countdown has started.
Well, we've learned another great element of Michael Wilson's character. He's a huge Motorhead fan. This is one of the few, like, actual in-game gameplay-ish cutscenes. Also, it was at this point that I realized I had forgotten to set the QTE difficulty back to hard, so, oops. I was not about to play that shmup section all over again, just for a couple of QTEs. Sorry. Now, the QTEs are all going to be on hard for the rest of the game. So, there are multiple different paths you can take. The left usually has more enemies and more hidden secrets. The right is faster and easier. Also, Dadzilla has a bunch of lightning attacks that he will shoot at us constantly, basically, encouraging us to keep moving. But I think they're far too frequent, and they get really annoying, especially if you're actually trying to go for a high score and to fight enemies, because you can't really compensate for the lack of a good score by trying to fight enemies while simultaneously dodging his lightning strikes. And also, there's a couple of recycled bosses in this level, too. It was also at this point that I completely forgot where I was going. So,
the offices are 10 times harder to navigate when they're destroyed.
Yeah, this is where they're trying to do the more Wonderful 101 style of asset recycling, where everything's floating, and it kind of makes a little more sense. Yeah, if you get caught in one of those attacks, it's treated like an electrical attack, so you get stunned, and you have to wiggle the stick to recover. Although I think it has friendly fire as well, much like electrical attacks do. Anyway. Not every boss is recycled, but some of them are. For instance, Pox Giant. He's more or less the same as before, but I'm just sick and tired of this bullshit, so he's going down really fast by cheesing him with the Ninja Blade.
Oh, come on now. There's always room for Pox Giant.
Remember how long that fight took us originally, all the way back in the first video?
Oh, yeah.
That took about 10 seconds.
Yeah, I'd say we're fully upgraded now.
We're almost fully upgraded. We're getting very close. Like, the game claims that, I mean, without the special unlockable weapons, we are fully upgraded. It was also at this point, I still didn't realize that, I mean, I knew at this point that the Ninja Blade caused damage over time, but I didn't know that it caused Ken to flinch every time he took damage from the Ninja Blade. Which is a really stupid way of dealing damage over time with a weapon, as opposed to enemies. Because I kept thinking that I was just getting hit by an enemy. I still think they should have treated the true Ninja Blade as a separate weapon in your inventory, as opposed to replacing the Oni Slayer. Because the Oni Slayer is a really good weapon.
I can see where that would have been nice, yeah.
Well, here we go. This is our first fight against Mutant Kanbei, aka Dadzilla. I'm just going to call him Dadzilla from now on. So, Dadzilla actually has a couple of pretty interesting gimmicks to him. You have to hit his hands first. That will stun him, and then you can hit his head. However, the gimmick is kind of iffy though, because you have to hit both hands, and then the position in which Kanbei's head will actually disappear, or rather lower, it changes. It's semi-randomized, and you can't always predict where he'll be. And I was kind of confused. This was my third or fourth attempt trying to defeat this particular phase, and it's you can't always attack him from the ground here. Also, this attack here from his mouth is treated like an invisible attack, similar to what Mutant Andy did, or those leeches from Mission 2.
Sure.
It is kind of possible to get chip damage with the Cyclone Shuriken, but Kanbei's head has to be moving forward to do that.
I'm getting a bit of a new Devil May Cry vibe out of this.
I think I could see some of that, but also, well, given the fact this came out 4 years before the Devil May Cry reboot, I think this was more inspired by the final fights against Mundus in the original Devil May Cry.
Yep.
Perhaps Ninja Theory was taking notes from this game. I don't dislike the Devil May Cry reboot as much as other people do. I definitely have issues with it, but it's still not that bad overall. It's iffy. Iffy at worst. Here's his other gimmick. He'll just randomly set himself on fire. That'll be your other main obstacle towards attacking his hands. So, do you think that the worm has actually figured out that his hand is his weakness? And that's, he's somehow gained the sentience to also figure out that Ken is vulnerable to fire?
I think the worms are just making it up as they go along.
By worms, you mean the writers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this fight is so strange. Thankfully some of the later phases are much better designed, but I don't know. I get the feeling like most of the team who were more experienced in the bigger scale boss fights were working on Demon Souls, while the guys who were more experienced with the Togi's smaller scale one-on-one fights were working on this game. Because, I mean, the fights against Kuro and Andy and Ryoko are much better than these kinds of big fights.
Oh yeah, I mean, all the set pieces are really good in this, but you can kind of see a little difference when the fights are scaled up like this, you know.
Well, they're fun to watch. They were just really aggravating to play. Alright, here's our second fork in the road here. And this is where we're going to be grabbing the final Shinobi Moji. On the left path here. Yes, game, we get it. Perhaps you recognize some of these set pieces. I think this was part of Mission 2 that's been recycled. Perhaps Mission 3, I can't remember.
It does look familiar, yeah.
This one also has a recycled boss, though I will take the opportunity to show off something new with it at least. Get out of my way, please. Thank you. Yeah, this level can be incredibly confusing at times, because it's way more open than the levels that they're based on, and these levels were just not designed to be treated like mazes. So I kind of used a similar trick to what I did with the fire in Mission 5, where I could sort of dash through them to I still get damaged, but I cancel the knockback, just to sort of, you know, not waste our time as much.
We're on the clock here.
We're on the clock of not wasting Roy's time.
We're on the clock of killing Dadzilla.
Or not, or not being killed by Dadzilla, I suppose. Unlike most games, you can't wiggle the stick, you have to sort of click it back and forth. Usually there's an exploit where you can wiggle it back and forth. Anyway, here we go. Last Shinobi Moji. Achievement unlocked.
Well done, sir.
When you're playing this game for the first time, it's incredible just how many achievements you can unlock in like the first 15-20 minutes. This game has 50 achievements, all of them based in the single player, and I think about 7 or 8 of them I got in the first half hour. Because they're all like really basic ones. Oh look, it's our friend, the slime chopper. That is a very rude awakening for an old friend. Please don't do that. Anyway, so I mentioned before that there's a move that makes it a little better to deflect bullets. It's the windmill.
Oh my god.
And when you combine it with Ninja Vision, it significantly increases damage. I mean, windmill still runs out after a while, so it's not completely foolproof, but it makes it much easier than having to time your swings with the falcon knives. So, after a couple of annoying takes, I just decided to go underneath him and use the windmill instead to cheese him from the bottom. And I managed to deflect some bullets too. I don't think this is really useful as a speedrun exploit though, because it's pretty luck-based. I wasn't able to replicate it on a further replay of this level.
It's 100% swag.
Definitely. I think this area might be where the Mysia fly was. Actually, no. I think this is still from Mission 2. I'm starting to realize how similar a lot of some of these level designs are. I've played this game a lot, and I still can't tell apart where these missions are. Even when they're recycling.
See, that's
them.
why the infection rate keeps going up. All of Tokyo is infected, but we're only fighting in 2 city blocks.
It's a 95% infection rate, but it's 100% among the city's architects. I can't imagine how slow the pace must be for those who didn't discover the dash canceling exploit. Like, it makes Ken move considerably faster than just dashing normally. So, coming up, we have our first real new gimmick of this area. So, Kanbei is really angry. Gonna throw her sword at us. Oh, the sword's kind of stuck, so we're gonna run on it. And that's our gimmick. And now we're gonna run up it.
Kanbei did not think that.
So this phase is similar to the previous one, but now he has the sword, and he's going to use the sword attacks. Basically he has different elemental powers depending on what his sword is currently covered in. Though you can, as I'm demonstrating poorly here, you could deflect some of some of the shots back at him. Though it's only some of them. So he has a main swing there. He also has electric and wind-based powers as well. And he also has he has electric powers there. He also has a cyclone-based attack as well. So basically, he has everything that our shurikens can do.
You need to react quicker. Concentrate. Use your ninja vision.
How does Wilson know about ninja vision anyway?
Trained by Kanbei, I'm sure that's how he gets most of his work done in the day. If you use ninja vision, you can have that paperwork done by noon.
I'm sure that's how he got a statue of himself on the White House lawn. Yep, so as usual, you attack his hand to make him more vulnerable, and occasionally he'll actually take damage when you attack his hand, but it doesn't seem to happen that often. I think it might be a bug, because the game keeps telling you to attack his head to deal damage, and to attack his arms to stun him. Also, here's a pretty similar QTE to the one that we did with Arachne. Oh. Well, it wouldn't be an episode of this LP if I didn't forget to remove at least one QTE miss, would it?
Just keeping it real.
So that is just like a general counterattack that you get at the end of every phase. And if you succeed at that, that's also one of the failable ones. At the end of the phase. And if you fail that, you don't get the healing crystals.
I will give him this. As far as set-piece battles go, this is a hell of a set-piece battle.
Yeah, it also works under the Bishi rules, where as the fights go along, they get progressively smaller, so where the final phase is human-sized. I have no idea what that attack is supposed to be, because I've never actually gotten caught in that before. I think it's meant to trap you inside, while he delivers a big attack, but I'll look up a long play or something where the player actually gets gets caught in that attack or something, because I was like right on the edge there. Also, is it just me or did
Nobody puts Ken in a box.
that also kind of looked like the arena that Ganondorf places Link in at the end of Twilight Princess?
A little bit, yeah.
The same kind of texture, at least. Just move your head down a little bit, Dad. I'm trying to kill you. Will you not give me this little bit of satisfaction in your life for once? Jesus Christ, I've spent the last 30 years of my life trying to oppress you, and you can't give me this one little bit of satisfaction. God damn it, this is why I left home at 18. Are you forgetting that it was you who moved into my house? Oh, another one of these QTs. They basically serve the same function as the QTs at the end of the Arachne fights, or at the end of each Arachne phase. That is now part of my headcanon, that Ken is trying to be more passive-aggressive in the hopes that this will somehow awaken Kanbei from the hookworm possession, and the prissier he gets, that this will unleash the real Kanbei, and he'll be able to fight off the hookworm that way.
It's very last-ditch effort. I like it.
Yeah, instead of talking the monster to death, he's being a bitch.
Starts listening to Linkin Park.
No, that's too mainstream for him. He is definitely the kind of guy who would start listening to Crazy Town. Oh, there's the fire attack again. And, of course, I completely forgot that you could parry. Zero out of 5 gameplay. Would not watch again. Yeah, I also put a first aid spray and an adrenaline boost in the hopes that I could at least do some damage while Conway's head was down. Though they do at least do the thing where if Kanbei is off camera or obscured by an object, that there will be a shadow of him showing up, so you can kind of tell where he is. More generous than Ninja Gaiden was.
Yeah. At least here you know where not to be.
Alright, so see if you can tell what I'm supposed to do for this Toteme before it actually comes up. Because it took me a while and I almost lost the Toteme chance because I couldn't figure out what to do here. See if you can figure it out.
Oh.
You have to run up the sword and then jump next to his head and then press the A button while you're in the air. I almost lost the Toteme because it's just not well telegraphed.
Hurry up, Ken. I can't
That's a little cheap,
much
but
longer. Just a few more minutes.
are we gonna kill a building?
Look, Dad, I know that you wanted to play baseball with me more, but I don't think this is what I meant. Can we not just play catch? Here's a building. Here. You didn't catch it.
Wow.
You didn't catch it. I'm not going to pay for your insurance for the solar plexus injury you just got, because I told you. I told you to catch it, and you didn't. You bastard. I'm going back to Mom. I'm moving back to San Francisco if you're going to keep this up.
Ken! Ken!
Fine. You want me around? I'll just go inside you. How? There. You happy now?
And now we're a jagged little pill inside Kanbei.
Emphasis on jagged. God, even when he's inside me, Dad's trying to kill me.
Where am I?
You're in the end of Kingdom Hearts.
Turns out the real Ninja Blade was all the swords we made along the way.
Share with your father.
Oh, so this is an Assassin's Creed spin-off now?
To your mind, we will draw you into ours. This isn't real. It is as real as the blood you will spill.
Alright, this is the real final boss now.
You want my blood?
Go through a blood donation clinic like everyone else, you bastard! Oh wait, you can't, because they're all dead. Alright, real final boss time. So, the final boss actually has a unique cutscene for dying to it, unlike every other boss in the game. So I'm going to show that off first. This is what happens when you die to the final boss, because everyone's waiting on you. And, well,
Initiate Operation Sterilization. Firing
we failed,
X Alpha
so I guess it's time to microwave Tokyo.
09. Repeat firing sequence X Alpha 3.
We gotta bring in soap
70.
and get the AC-130s ready.
Copy that. Holy crap, they're really gonna do it.
So this is a surprisingly elaborate cutscene for
Yeah?
what's basically a game over. Also, I think they're kind of confused as to what this is, because it's a laser that they're clearly showing, and yet the damage that's being caused here is pretty nuclear, I think. It also contradicts what Wilson was saying in the second video, that they'd figured out a way to their sterilization method now wipes out all organic life, but doesn't destroy any buildings.
Yeah, this is nuking Japan without nuking Japan.
Nuking Japan with a laser.
Yep. It all seems very sterile now. And there's a big hole where it used to be.
That's the big plot twist. We were actually on the moon the whole time. Well, let's use the Dagger of Time and try that again. Okay, so Kanbei Ogawa, this time he's very aggressive. He doesn't have his clones anymore, but he is basically a big version of that Phase 1 fight, but way more aggressive and does a lot more damage. He does seem slightly more vulnerable to the Stone Render, but only slightly. And when he's not caught in a Stone Render loop, he will go ham on your ass. He is incredibly aggressive.
Oh.
I think this took more attempts than any of the other bosses, even more than Mutant Kuro.
I can see where this is a rough one.
Yeah, the best strategy I found for him was to try and stun him with the lightning shuriken, and then try to get him into a loop with Stone Render. And he still has that Jujutsu throw, but now it does way more damage than before. Also, the camera swings around a lot. It really wants to focus on, it wants to make sure that both Ken and Kanbei are in the shot at all times, and it will do some really weird things to make sure that happens.
If he's not up front, he really blends in with the swords.
Yeah. Also, the swords in the background are really just like a background detail. They don't actually have any. They are like featherweight physics objects. They don't have an effect on the fight at all, thankfully, because this fight's ridiculous enough as it is. And we're almost done here. Ow. At this point, even the hookworm is like, come on, Kanbei, that's enough. Just let your son win already.
It's over. The hookworm lost 5 minutes ago.
I feel like I should have put in some Cat Stevens here or something. Oh well.
It's over, Kanbei. It's over.
It was over, and he didn't even have the high ground. He was just that good. Take that, Obi-Wan. throws his father in the air.
Omni Slash!
And somehow he's still not dead.
One of the side effects of worms is adult acne, apparently.
You did what you were born to do.
Also, keep in mind that because he was born in a laboratory, given the timing of the outbreak, Ken can't be more than about 4 years old.
Your special blood.
So we've been playing as a toddler this whole time.
Bring this to an end. What?
It's over, worms. Go, go, go.
Nah, the set designers on the Truman Show have gotten really sloppy.
Screen Actors Guild is gonna sue when this all comes down.
I think this is the first time we've seen anything approaching daylight in the game so far, and the lighting looks horrible.
But, on the upside, Japan has a statue of Kanbei's O-face now.
I called off the attack. You did it.
No. My father did it. He had the same blood as me. Not as strong.
Oh, statue's ruined.
He gave his life for the city.
I'm pretty sure that this is causing more structural damage than all of the attacks throughout the rest of the game.
I know.
Ken, it's coming down. You might want to get off of that.
Well, he knows he knows that he's the protagonist, so it won't fall for him until he's done contemplating his life. So that was Ninja Blade, and what a ride it was.
I was impressed. We loved, we lost, we loved again. We didn't microwave Japan, but that one time.
In an alternate timeline.
Exactly.
So you were making all of those jokes about Capcom.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? They helped with the character design.
Oh my god!
So this game has direct connections to, let's see here, Microsoft Game Studios, because they helped to design Ken, From Software, Capcom, and Konami. So there you go.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, Microsoft Global Publishing Team. They were the ones doing the script rewrite. They From Software specifically asked for help from Microsoft to have this game appeal to a more North American audience and European audience to a lesser extent. So, what did you think?
I thought it was pretty good. Very Ninja Gaiden. Like we were saying, probably inspired some of the Resident Evil games that followed it. Little bit of the Thing in the plot line, where you get those weird mutations of people that kinda pass for the person, but aren't really the person anymore. I'd give it about a 4 out of 5.
Yep, and we now know that Capcom worked on character design, so they clearly were copying the right homework for Resident Evil 6 and 7. Thanks, Norman Shook, for making Ken more American, I guess.
And the music was very good. We mentioned the composers earlier. I liked it. It's very high energy music. Good voice work. Yuri Lowenthal, loved him. I want to see him do more villains.
I have no idea why there was a localization team in Dublin though, or in South Korea.
Is there an Irish version of this?
No, well, there's just the English. There's just an English and bilingual voice track. I had said initially that there was an all Japanese voice track, but that's only on the Japanese release. There's a lot of saxophone in the track, and that's because one of the Beanstalk is the ending theme, composed by Norihiko Hibino, excuse me. I believe he's the saxophonist of the group. He's the one who worked a lot on Metal Gear Solid as well. So that's why you probably heard a lot of... Oh, Jim Warb is in this? Really? Oh yeah, Liam O'Brien. I was right, Fred Tatasciore was in this. He was that one guy who was yelling at the beginning of episode 6. And Liam O'Brien was the doctor who... Liam O'Brien was the doctor who was working on Ken at the end of episode 1. Man, Norihiko Hibino is the one who he's a big saxophone guy. So there's lots of like really weird saxophone solos throughout this game, which I don't know if you heard them when we were recording throughout the various episodes, but maybe once these go up on YouTube, you'll see later.
Yeah, I record with the volume down slightly, so I'll have to go back and look at the soundtrack again. Image Epoch.
Imagi Pooch.
Matchy Pooch.
Yes, thank you to the animators and modelers for making sure all of those QTEs with Mutant Kuro lined up perfectly and never got out of sync. So Studio Ibuki was they were the ones who worked on the motion capture cutscenes. They actually did a pretty good job, I think.
Oh yeah, especially the Totemes.
Yeah, those were great. I actually think the reason why they had it rewinding was because they made the cutscenes so elaborate that they couldn't really think of good fail states for them, so they sort of compensated by having them just rewind time instead. Oh, this game used Lua? Lua and Zedlib. That's
Oh, yeah.
very interesting. Okay. All right. So coming up is this is the post credits sequence. I promised you that this was one of the dumbest plot developments of the entire game, and don't worry.
Nick Fury is going to show up and tell us about the Avengers Initiative.
It's almost that dumb. Several months later, Tokyo continues to heal from its wounds. Gets
It's
better.
a conspiracy cover-up. Yes, Mr. President. Yes, Mr. President. No, Mr. President.
How did they cover that up? With like paranoia.
A really big tarp.
Transformers 2 had a better cover up than
Fresh
this.
blood to fill out the new team. People we can trust to fight this thing the next time it pops up. Without your father around to train them, I'm gonna lean on your experience.
This is a hook for a sequel that never came, unfortunately.
Can I count on you?
Maybe we can get Platinum to make Ninja Blade 2.
Of course. But there's something I have to do for my father first. Something personal.
So this is kind of ambiguous. Never really explained what's going on here. I think the implication is that he just assassinated one of the conspirators who was helping with the hookworm virus. I think. I don't know. Oh, we're an A-grade ninja again. Daddy would be proud.
Pass the torch.
Good job.
Oh, yeah, no, it just gives achievements out like Pez.
Oh yeah, I should have, in hindsight, I should have shown off some of the other achievements, but I didn't. Sorry. Anyway, we're gonna close off this video by showing off something that a lot of oh, we got the sword emblem. A lot of reviewers complained about, but something that's only happened to me once. So I figured that since, I just beaten the game, I would go and, record some stuff for the next video, which is going to be the extras. Go into the hard drive menu and, oh, the game crashed. Apparently this happened a lot to reviewers, that it would crash at the storage select menu screen. But this is the only time.
It just gives up the ghost.
But apparently this is the only time it's happened to me in the dozens of hours that I've played this game. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just lucky. And that's Ninja Blade.
Da 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 da. Ninjas.
Yep. So there's one more video coming up where I'll be doing all the extras, and then we're gonna move on.